organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Tonight on Daily Iowan TV, will the University of Iowa be out millions of dollars? We have more on the Board of Regents funding proposal.
And sharpen those pencils and fill in those bubbles. Why professors are paying more attention to student evaluation forms.
We have lots of rain coming our way, but just how much will we get? Find out later in weather.
One Iowa baseball pitcher went from watching in the crowd to being a dominant man on the hill.
Find out who in sports.
We have the latest headlines and more.
Welcome to Daily Iowan TV. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Hannah Thompson.
And I'm Blake Jorgensen. The Iowa Board of Regents performance-based funding model was rejected by the Iowa House on April 30th, but legislators are still discussing the funding issue today. The model would have seen $12.9 million taken from the UI and reallocated to Iowa State and Northern Iowa because of in-state enrollment. Former Maytag CEO and the UI's representative on performance-based funding, Leonard Hadley, is happy with the legislature's bipartisan decision, saying, quote, "I think it was bad public policy and the legislature showed more good judgment than the regents. This was a solution looking for a problem." Iowa Governor Terry Branstad still supports the regents model.
Over 130 people packed the UI Pentecost to participate in a solidarity protest for African American victims of police brutality. The protest began by remembering 35 black lives killed by the police in the last 5 years. Among the list was recent police brutality victim Freddie Gray, who died after enduring a spinal cord injury. Rally members held protest signs uplifting black lives and ended the rally after a march to the Iowa City Hall.
The new U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch visited Baltimore, Maryland, where brutality protests began, to meet with victim Freddie Gray's family. Lynch met the family at the University of Baltimore, where she vowed her support to the family and Baltimore community. She also thanked police officers on the front lines during the erupting violence in the city. As of now, the Justice Department and FBI are investigating Gray's death for civil rights violations.
Today is a day of celebration for Cinco de Mayo, Spanish for the 5th of May. Celebrates the Mexican Army's victory over French military forces at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862. Though it's a minor holiday in Mexico, it's celebrated in Puebla where the battle took place. Here in the U.S., many Mexican Americans celebrate the holiday as a way of honoring their ethnicity and showing pride in their heritage. It is expected that Americans combined will spend over $500 million celebrating Cinco de Mayo this year.
The Republican presidential race is getting crowded as former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee announced his decision today to run for the Republican nomination in 2016. The former Southern Baptist pastor is the 6th Republican to make a presidential bid. In his speech, Huckabee focused on working-class Americans and reiterated his opposition to abortion and gay marriage. Huckabee won the Iowa caucuses in 2008.
And Mike Huckabee will join the list of unannounced Democratic candidates up against Hillary Clinton. Today, the Democratic National Committee announced that 6 presidential primary debates will take place. The state of Iowa is among the list of states where the debates will be held. Early primary states, including Nevada, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, are the others.
For Hawkeyes all over campus, it's their turn to do their own grading. Between now and the end of the semester, students are filling out ACE evaluations to see whether their professor passed or failed in teaching their courses. Daily Iowan TV's Jeremy Meyer tells us why professors will be keeping a closer look at those student evaluations.
Iowa state lawmakers in Des Moines are discussing a bill that could put the future of university professors into the hands of their students. Republican Senator Mark Chelgren proposed the bill that would allow Iowa schools to fire professors who fail to score above a minimum threshold on their exit student evaluations. Dr. Anita Schmidt, an associate professor in Iowa's College of Education, is skeptical of the proposition, saying that professors in different colleges cannot be judged on the same playing surface.
Almost every other discipline, you're working with professors who didn't study becoming a teacher or being a teacher, so they probably don't know as many pedagogical ways of being a teacher as people who are in the College of Ed. So I think that we're sort of at an unfair advantage here. That's ridiculous.
Now, the way the bill is currently written, the schools in Iowa would have a chance to select their own criteria that their professors would be graded on. Still, for the students sitting in these seats, it could give them just a little too much power.
That's how Camden Palmisano feels, a Hawkeye student who believes the final grade bears a big weight on how students receive their professors.
You know, the teacher who really isn't doing the job, he gives all the A's, so all the kids, of course, say, yeah, he's doing a fantastic job because, hey, they're getting A's. And I think that's, I think that's wrong.
The bill is stuck in Senate subcommittee, allowing instructors to momentarily focus on returning their scores to their students. Jeremy Meyer, Daily Iowan TV.
And still to come tonight, get ready for graduation. See how Iowa seniors are preparing.
And in sports, one Hawkeye football player is leaving the UI. Learn who next.
Last night was pretty stormy, Blake. I got really rained on when I was walking home. Today was pretty good.
Today was good. Yeah, I got a little wet on the way home last night too, but glad I stayed dry today. Megan, how's the rest of the week looking?
Well, because of the storms last night, guys, it was a humid day today, and it's all leading up to some big rainstorms coming our way this week. But first, let's take a closer look at our weather for tomorrow. Wednesday morning will kick off with cloudy skies and 60 degrees. By the afternoon, those temperatures are going to rise up to the high 70s with clouds still in sight. Those high 70 temps are going to continue Wednesday evening, but with a 50% chance of thunderstorms. Wednesday night is going to be the start of a thunderstorm trend. Unfortunately, we may not see some sunshine until Monday. With thunderstorms and rain nearly every day the rest of this week, it's safe to say an umbrella will be your best friend. That's all I have tonight in the weather studio. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Megan. For UI seniors, all there's left is this last week of classes, finals, and then graduation. But where are students heading after their big day? Daily Iowan TV's Frank Rotella hit the Pentecost to find out.
In preparation for commencement ceremonies at the University of Iowa, thousands of grads will don a robe just like Herky here and focus on not tripping as they walk across stage and get their diploma. In recent years, students have found themselves simply heading back home because of high student loan debt and few job prospects. The New York Times reported last year that 1 in 5 people in their 20s and 30s were living with their parents.
But that trend may be changing because none of the students I talked to today are heading home.
I actually just got a job. I'll be working at Discover Card. I'll be working in business analyst there in their programming department.
I'm actually heading to Omaha, Nebraska for a job.
I will be attending the University of Kansas for graduate school, getting my master's in higher education administration.
After graduation, I plan to stay here and work at my current job at the Athletics Hall of Fame until I find a career, and in the career that I'm looking to go into is in the hospitality industry.
Some of the students I talked to did say they had a high amount of student loan debt.
I think about 35 and a half. So.
I believe it's $48,000.
That's why you're sticking with the job to kind of start paying that off?
Yeah, and
These students are happy to be finishing up school, and it's likely that their parents are just as happy that they'll be home to visit, not to move back in. Reporting from the UI campus, Frank Rotella, Daily Iowan TV.
Boston Marathon bomber Johar Tsarnaev is being portrayed as a product of a dysfunctional family in an attempt to save him from the death penalty. Tsarnaev's lawyer called a Russian historian and a psychiatrist to the stand who gave a history about Chechnya, Tsarnaev's homeland, and information about his relatives' mental illnesses. The hope is that Tsarnaev's background combined with dysfunctional family life will convince the jury he does not deserve a death sentence.
Boxing champion Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao may be fighting again soon. After Pacquiao's loss to Mayweather at the Unified World Welterweight Championships on Saturday, Pacquiao acknowledged he endured a shoulder injury. Reports on Monday back this claim. The boxer is expected to get surgery to repair his torn rotator cuff in his right shoulder. Mayweather said he could do a rematch before retiring next year. Blake, I wonder how that fight would have gone if Pacquiao would have been at full strength.
Yeah, I don't know if it would have been too much different. I think Floyd Mayweather is pretty tough to beat.
He is, you never know.
Let's toss it over to our sports studio where Alyssa Klosterman and Taylor Bartz are standing by.
Yeah, Blake and Hannah, it would be interesting to see that fight again if both fighters were at 100%. One Iowa track athlete is looking to add to her already impressive resume.
But first, we start with baseball. University of Iowa left-handed pitcher Ryan Erickson spent one whole season away from baseball altogether.
That time was far too long for Erickson, as the junior was given a unique opportunity to play the sport he loves again.
Zach McKay has more.
It's not always easy being the underdog, but Ryan Erickson has embraced it here in his short time with the Iowa baseball team.
To Johnson County as a freshman out of high school, and things just really didn't play out well. I kind of lost interest in baseball, and I was just ready to move on and get a degree from Iowa and just put baseball in my past.
In the back of Erickson's mind, he knew he wasn't quite ready to hang up the glove yet.
Something I might want to still do in the future, but I mean, I don't know if they just take a walk-on who hasn't played in over a year.
But Erickson didn't know the tricks that head coach Rick Heller had up his sleeve. The second-year coach offered Erickson a chance to walk on the Iowa baseball team.
I remember that meeting. I was really excited after he told me I made the team. I went home. I called my dad. I called my parents, and they were really excited for me. And my emotions were really high that day.
Erickson didn't only make the team, he has excelled this year, turning into the Hawks' #1 relief pitcher while carrying a 2.32 ERA. He's also boasting a perfect 4-0 record in his 14 appearances in the black and gold this season. But Erickson did not expect all these achievements coming in.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I told the coaches that I was maybe high 80s pitching, but I wasn't even that in junior college.
Ryan says the success this season does not come as a surprise to the Iowa baseball team.
We just listened to Coach Heller. Coach Heller believed in us, and he said, hey, if you guys play the way we should, we'll be a good team, and we just all believe in them, and it's working out just like that.
Zach Mackey, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Erickson and the Iowa baseball team are taking on Western Illinois Leathernecks right now at Dwayne Banks Field.
The Hawks have 2 more Big Ten series to go before the Big Ten tournament at Target Field in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Head football coach Kurt Ferentz announced that the program has made the decision to release defensive back Malik Rucker from his scholarship after Rucker made the decision to continue his collegiate career elsewhere.
The Minneapolis, Minnesota native played in a total of 6 games last season for the Hawks while recording 5 tackles. Ferentz says he wishes him well for his future. One Iowa track athlete is trying to build on what was already a very successful last season.
Laura Belanda sat down with Montela Holder to see what her expectations are going into the postseason.
Junior sprinter and hurdle runner Montela Holder was a second-team All-American and a Big Ten champion in the 2014 season. She's got a lot to live up to after a successful run last year and knows that work lies ahead to meet her own expectations.
I obviously want to work on my 400 hurdles and more of my speed. I have endurance for days, but we're trying to work on my speed and build that up this year as well.
Montela isn't comfortable with simply settling for matching last year's success. Rather, she's setting new goals for herself and her relay teams.
Win Big Tens definitely in the 400 hurdles and obviously make it back to nationals. And then I would also like for both of our relays to make it to nationals. Our 4x1 made it last year and our 4x4 was last man out. So we're trying to get both of those into the meet this year.
As an individual competitor, Montela has been making strides in the 400-meter hurdle event.
She's just more consistent this year. Last year she was just running some times closer to 59 seconds, and now every time she steps on the track, we expect her to run 58 or faster. So, we're really looking forward to her putting up some big marks these last few weeks of the season.
With the season winding down, Montela is looking toward upcoming championships with confidence and poise. Her 4x1 relay team has seen success so far, and she sees it as only getting better.
I think we're going to go into Big Ten to compete hard, and I think that we'll come out with a win again.
This has been Laura Belanda with Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Holder and the rest of the Iowa track and field team will be heading to East Lansing, Michigan to compete in the Big Ten Championships next weekend.
The NCAA Regional Championships will then be the following weekend in Austin, Texas. That will do it for us here in the sports studio, but an exciting show tomorrow as we take a look at one former Hawkeye basketball player trying to make it at the next level.
We also get a recap from Iowa baseball's contest that is going on right now against Western Illinois.
Blake and Hannah, back to you.
Thanks, guys. It's been 2 weeks since the Boston Marathon. However, one Tennessee woman has been searching for a man on social media that she kissed while running the Boston Marathon. She found him yesterday when she heard back from the man's wife.
That's right. 55-year-old Barbara Tatji kissed the man after a dare from her daughter to kiss a good-looking man. Fortunately for her, the man's wife had a good sense of humor about it and sent Tatji a letter of congratulations on her finishing the marathon.
That could have been a bad situation if she wasn't positive about that.
It's good that the wife was being a good sport.
Yeah.
That's all we've got for tonight on Tuesday's edition of Daily Iowan TV.
Get your local breaking news anytime on dailyiowan.com. Thanks for joining us.